Welcome back. Tonight, your journey is not toward the bright noise of modern Christmas, but toward an older and quieter celebration held close within a small medieval village. It is a night shaped by firelight on timbered walls, by candles glowing in narrow church windows, and by snow settling softly over long fields and low thatched roofs. A night where Christmas moves with the slow rhythm of Advent, fasting and feasting woven gently together. Before we begin, tell me what you're listening to this video on. Is it your phone, your iPad, or another device resting beside you? If I had to guess, the battery's probably somewhere around 58%. That is more than enough for the journey we're about to take together. Lower the light in your room, allowing the edges to soften. Find a position that feels steady and comfortable. Pull your blanket up toward your chest, feeling its warmth settle gently over you. Let your shoulders ease, your breath fall into a slower rhythm, and the rest of the day drift quietly away. You do not need to become anyone from the past, not a medieval villager, not a cloaked traveller in the snow. You remain entirely yourself, simply stepping into a moment from another century that waits patiently on the other side of your imagination. When you are ready, walk with me into a winter night in the late 13th century, where a small English village keeps Christmas by firelight and quiet, enduring faith. Cold air settles lightly against your skin as you stand at the edge of a wide winter field, the world around you muted by frost and softened into gentle greys. You take a slow breath in, feeling the crispness of the season gather at the back of your throat, and as you breathe out, a pale cloud drifts from your lips, dissolving almost immediately into the still afternoon air. Snow lies in thin scatterings across the ground, not deep, not heavy, but bright enough to lift the colour of the land and make each blade of frozen grass look touched by silver. You pause for a moment, simply to feel the quiet. There are no distant engines, no hum of roads, no mechanical sound threading the horizon. Only the spacious quiet of open fields, the soft weight of winter pressing gently against the earth, the faint whisper of your own breath. Far ahead, a thin plume of wood smoke rises in a slow, wavering line. It comes from a cluster of timbered houses gathered close together at the edge of the land, their shapes softened by the faint blur of cold air. The smoke climbs steadily, drifting into the low grey sky as if offering a quiet invitation toward warmth and shelter. You let your gaze rest there for a moment, feeling that distant hearth glow somewhere deep inside your chest. Subtle but certain, you begin walking along a simple track. The earth firm beneath your steps, frost crunches softly underfoot, each sound clear and distinct in the open stillness. The track wanders gently between hedgerows and fallow fields, curving with the shape of the land rather than cutting through it. Above you, bare branches arch like quiet sentinels, their silhouettes delicate and spare against the winter sky. You tilt your head slightly, taking them in, noticing how the starkness of winter brings out the fine detail of each twig and limb. The air is cold, but not unkind. It carries the faintest scent of wood smoke, drifting from far ahead, mixed with the clean, sharp fragrance of frost. You take another long breath in and let it out slowly, feeling your body loosen into the rhythm of walking. As you move, you sense something of the lives kept in this landscape. People here have been living simply for weeks. Meals of bread, grain, stored vegetables, and whatever the land has yielded before winter deepened. They have saved richer foods for the days of Christmas, holding back in quiet discipline. This time of waiting is Advent, and though you're only passing through, you can feel its presence in the air around you, a kind of gentle restraint, a held breath before celebration, a soft anticipation layered into the cold. Here, Christmas is not a single morning of bright excitement. It is a rhythm, a slow turning of the season, lean weeks of Advent, a sacred night in the village church, then days of rest and feasting that follow like a long, exhaled breath. You continue along the path as daylight thins. The sky stretches in soft greys above you, the sort that promise an early dusk and a long, tender night. A distant crow calls from somewhere in the woods, the note crisp and solitary, carrying easily through the cold. Besides that, the world is almost entirely quiet. The village ahead grows clearer with each unhurried step. You can make out timber walls, their dark beams standing out against pale plaster. Thatched roofs slope gently, dusted with snow. Smoke curls in calm spirals from low chimneys, disappearing into the deepening sky. The sight warms you in a subtle way, as if something inside your chest had opened slightly to welcome it. You notice an evergreen branch laid across a wooden post, holly and ivy twisted together, their green vivid against the subdued colours of winter. It is simple, handmade, tied there with care, a small sign of the season, a bright thread of hope woven into the cold days. You pause to take it in, letting its quiet presence settle into your mind. For a moment, everything around you feels completely still. Even the air seems to pause, waiting gently with you. The land, the sky, the distant village, all held in a soft hush before celebration begins. You continue walking, the track narrowing as it approaches the village. Your steps feel lighter now. Guided by the faint glow ahead, lanterns have begun to flicker in the dusk, their warm light trembling softly behind thin panes of horn or glass. The light spills onto the snow, making the frost glitter faintly at your feet. You breathe deeply again, letting the cold fill your lungs, and exhale slowly, feeling the warmth inside you rise to meet the chill of the air. The contrast is gentle, grounding, steadying. Without modern lights or noise, the world feels bigger, slower, easier to move through. Christmas here begins not with decorations or songs or shopping, but with quiet, with the simplicity of waiting, with the soft glow of hearths lit after long days of work. You reach the village gate at last. It is worn and wooden, standing slightly ajar, as if expecting someone exactly like you to arrive. The hinges are old, the wood marked by many seasons, yet there is something welcoming in the way it leans, open to the path. You rest your hand lightly on the gate for a moment, feeling the cold of the wood against your skin. A sense of arrival gathers around you, slow and calming, like a blanket being drawn gently over your shoulders. The lanterns inside the village glow warmly, their light pooling on the ground, softening the darkness. You pause, breathing in the wood smoke, the cold, the faint scent of earth resting under frost. The lantern glow softens, drawing you inward, settling into quiet. You step through the open gate, and the village rises gently to meet you. Lantern light trembles softly along the narrow street as you step fully into the village, its glow flickering gently across the snow-dusted ground. The warmth of that light feels delicate, as if it were breathing with the evening air. Timber walls rise close on either side, leaning slightly with age, their beams darkened by countless winters. You move slowly between them, letting your footsteps fall in a quiet, steady rhythm, drawn deeper into this place where the season is unfolding with patient hands. The air grows warmer near the cluster of homes, carrying scents that feel both familiar and ancient. Wool drying by a hearth, wood smoke curling from chimneys, and the faint sweetness of baking bread drifting through cracks in shuttered windows. You breathe in deeply, letting the softness of those smells settle into you. It feels like stepping through a thin veil of time, crossing from the cold of the open fields into the shared warmth of a community preparing for Christmas. You can sense the quiet energy around you. Nothing here is hurried. Each movement seems deliberate, shaped by habit and care. Evergreen boughs hang above doorways, their green vivid against the greys and browns of winter. Their simple garlands, branches, berries, and hope tied together with twine, handmade gifts from the forest rather than purchased decorations. Their fragrance mingles with the wood smoke, the faint resin sweetness rising each time the wind stirs. A soft clatter of wooden tools drifts from a small workshop, Through the open doorway you glimpse someone smoothing a carved toy, a spoon, or perhaps a small ornament, shaped from the same trees that ring the fields you just crossed. The sound is gentle and steady, the rasp of tool against wood turning raw branches into something useful, something meant to be given or shared. Nearby, bundles of dried herbs hang above a hearth, rosemary, thyme, perhaps a few long stalks of savoury, tied with twine and left to wait for the meals of the coming days. Their scent lingers in the warm air, an earthy reminder of fields that were green not long ago. You imagine how careful the last weeks have been here. Bowls rinsed clean, scraps saved, hunger held in quiet discipline so that Christmas can feel full and generous when it arrives. The humility of the season is everywhere, in worn wooden bowls repaired more than once, in pottery patched with careful hands, in the absence of anything unnecessary. This is a world where Christmas is made by hand, not bought, shaped from what the land has given, not from abundance drawn out of shops, shared slowly, not rushed. As you walk on, the street opens slightly near the small stone church. At its door, a wicker basket holds loaves of coarse bread. They rest in the cold without fanfare, offered to anyone who is less than this. Quiet charity, unmarked by names or records, simply part of the season. You feel the tenderness of that gesture. The way generosity here is measured in bread and warmth, not in wrapped packages or bright displays. For some in this village, Christmas will mean a little more food than usual, a little more heat by the fire, a little more company at the table. Most of that comes from neighbours making sure no one is forgotten. You let that thought rest gently within you, feeling its calm settle through your breath. You move on, passing the communal well where the rope hangs stiff with cold, its bucket rimmed with a thin glaze of ice. Snowflakes begin to drift through the air, slow, wandering flakes that turn the village into something hushed and luminous. Each flake melts the instant it touches your face, leaving only a brief coolness behind. Warmth from nearby hearths pulses outward in fragile waves, brushing your cheeks as you pass by each home. Rough wool garments rustle faintly as someone moves behind a shutter, preparing for the night. Life here follows the pace of weather and daylight, not clocks or schedules. The slowing of the sky is the signal that evening has come. Somewhere deeper in the village, a quiet voice calls a child in from the dark. The words are too soft to make out, but the tone is familiar, gentle, steady, spoken in the way people do when the day is ending. You pause for a moment just to listen, letting the sound fold into the evening air. Then, from the church tower, a faint bell rings. One note, then another, each tone drifting outward like a soft ripple across the snow. The sound is not urgent, it's simply a reminder that Christmas is close, that the village is turning slowly toward its holy night. You let the bell settle into you, each fading chime loosening something quiet inside your chest. Snow continues to fall in a thin, wandering curtain. Lanterns glow more warmly as the sky darkens, their light catching on evergreen branches and the worn grain of wooden doors. The whole village seems to soften at once, as though the season itself were exhaling. The church bell keeps its steady rhythm, each note softer than the last. You follow the sound through the darkening street. As the village settles into evening, you cross the threshold of a small timber cottage, and the warmth inside greets you instantly, wrapping itself around your cold skin as though it has been waiting for you. The shift is gentle but unmistakable. One moment the air is sharp and winter bright, the next it is soft and fragrant, carrying the scents of smoke, simmering grain, and a faint sweetness that might be dried apple. You breathe in slowly, letting those warm notes fill your chest, easing the last traces of cold from your breath. The cottage is lit almost entirely by the glow of its wide, open hearth. In the centre of that glow rests a great wooden log, pale and untouched, its shape broad and solid against the stones. It has been saved all year for this night, chosen and dried with care, kept aside as something both practical and meaningful. Beneath it, smaller sticks and branches are already catching flame, sending up a scatter of sparks that rise and fall like tiny fireflies before disappearing into the air. You step closer, feeling the heat grow stronger against your palms. The log itself is meant to burn slowly, night after night, steadily feeding warmth into the days of Christmas that follow. It is more than fuel. It is a promise of comfort carried forward through winter's coldest stretch. A reminder that warmth here is not taken for granted. Firelight moves gently over the walls, turning rough plaster into soft, shifting gold. The simple wooden beams overhead glow like ribbons of amber, their edges blurred by flickering light. Shadows move in slow patterns along the floor, stretching and curling with each small shift of the flames. A wool blanket lies folded on a nearby bench. You trail your fingers across it, feeling its thickness, its slightly scratchy texture. The fibres hold the faint smell of lanolin and winter air, evidence of hands that washed and spun it, of sheep that wandered the fields months before snow arrived. Nothing here is just an object. Everything has a story woven into it, a thread of labour and time. A pot hangs above the fire, suspended from an iron hook. Inside, pottage turns in slow, lazy circles, thick with grains and a few vegetables saved from storage. Each gentle stir releases fragrant curls of steam that drift upward, warming the air with herbs that were gathered when the days were long and green. You watch the movement of the pot for a quiet moment, soothed by its steady rhythm. On the table nearby, a round loaf of coarse bread cools, its crust cracked and warm, thin trails of steam rising from it like sighs. Beside it sits a woven basket filled with dried berries and nuts, small treasures gathered early in the year, kept safe through autumn storms, safe for nights like this when sweetness and richness matter more than ever. Wooden cups and clay bowls line a low shelf, each one shaped by hand. No two are the same. Some tilt slightly to one side, some show faint fingerprints pressed into their glaze. You run your gaze along them, feeling how deeply tied they are to this house, to the people who live here, to the rhythm of their year. Near a stool, a spindle rests with wool wound around it in quiet spirals, waiting for another winter evening. You imagine someone sitting there in the long dark hours, spinning thread while the fire burns low, the room filled with the soft pull of wool and the gentle crackle of flames. In this home, work and rest blend together, circling around the hearth like the breath of the season itself. As you stand near the fire, someone in the room mentions, almost casually, without ceremony, that a pinch of last year's Yule ashes has been kept tucked away. It's a small tradition, a way of carrying luck and protection forward through storms, of connecting one winter to the next. The idea settles warmly in your mind, simple and ancient, shaped by years of belief and the practical longing for safety in harsh weather. You feel, deeply, how much of life in this time gathers right here. Warmth, food, work, stories, rest, all held together by the circle of light cast by the hearth, without central heating, without separate rooms for different moments of the day. This fire is the heart of the home. People draw close to it not just for comfort, but for survival, for togetherness, for the sense that winter can be softened with enough hands and enough flame. The fire settles into a soft, steady crackle, the kind of sound that eases breath and slows thought. Your hands grow comfortably warm as you hold them open toward the flames. The scent of wood smoke and grain drifts around you, gentle and grounding. Flickering shadows dance along the walls, creating patterns that feel as old as the traditions themselves. For a while, you simply stand there, breathing slowly, letting the warmth soak into you. The air feels thick with safety, with the quiet confidence of people who know how to make a home with only what the land offers. Food here comes from storage, from careful gathering, from patience, not from endless options. Christmas warmth is not decoration. It is the fire that keeps the night gentle. The room grows quieter as the flames settle deeper into the log. Night thickens outside, Voices soften into low murmurs, as if the house itself is growing drowsy. The fire glows steadily as the night deepens, and voices grow slower and softer. You step back into the cold air, carrying the hearth's warmth with you like a small, steady ember. You make your way toward the small market square, guided by the soft glow of lanterns swaying gently in the fading light. Snow drifts lazily through the air, each flake moving as if it has all the time in the world. The square opens quietly before you, a simple space bordered by worn wooden stalls and low stone walls. Only a few stalls remain open now, their goods resting under thin blankets of frost. Lanterns hang from wooden posts at the edges, glowing softly through the drifting snow. Their light pools on the ground, golden against the deepening grey, creating small islands of warmth in the winter dusk. As you step into the square, you hear the hum of low voices, quiet conversations exchanged between neighbours, the murmur of greetings, the faint shuffle of footsteps softened by cold earth and early darkness. A baker stands behind a simple wooden table, offering thin, crisp wafers. Their edges look delicate as lace. When one breaks between your teeth, the sound is quiet, a gentle crack, and the faint sweetness melts softly on your tongue. A few steps away, a brewer lifts a wooden ladle from a small cauldron of warm ale. Steam curls up to meet the night, carrying hints of grain and spice. When the cup touches your hands, its heat seeps through your fingers, warming the skin that the winter air has chilled. Nearby, another table displays carved wooden spoons, small toys, and simple bowls. The lantern light catches their smooth surfaces, turning them silver gold. You imagine the hours of work that shaped each piece, the carving, sanding, smoothing, the slow forming of something meant to be used, held, or cherished. Strips of dried fish sway lightly in the cold breeze beside braids of garlic and onions. They are reminders of other seasons, the sea and the harvest months, the long work of drying and storing food for winter. Nothing in this market is extravagant, but everything shows patience, skill, and care. Near the centre of the square stands a young evergreen tree, rooted in the earth. Its branches are dark and still against the snow, each needle holding a bead of frost. The tree is plain, unadorned, no candles, no ribbons, no bright glass ornaments. No one here would think to bring an entire tree indoors or dress it with lights. That belongs to centuries still ahead. Children instead reach for sprigs of holly and ivy, gathering them like tiny trophies of green, bright accents of life against the winter grey. At the edge of the square, someone begins to play a quiet melody on a stringed instrument. The notes drift slowly through the cold, thin and wandering, like a thread of sound weaving gently through the falling snow. You pause for a moment, letting the soft music settle through your breath, guiding it into an easier rhythm. You feel how much comfort here comes not from buying, not from noise or spectacle, but from being together in the same small pool of lantern light. People stand shoulder to shoulder, sharing warmth, sharing breath, exchanging a few words and simple gestures of kindness. Christmas here is woven into everyday work, made from bread and wood and evergreen branches, rather than set apart as a season of shopping or crowds. Snow begins to fall more steadily now, settling onto hats and shoulders, softening every outline. The lanterns look gentler beneath the drifting white. Voices dip lower, wrapped in the muffled quiet that fresh snow brings. One by one, the stalls begin to close. Goods are wrapped, tied, lifted away. The market grows emptier, the night deeper, the energy fading into a peaceful hush. You linger for a moment longer, noticing the scent of pine resin rising from the evergreen tree, blending with the distant sweetness of baked wafers and the warm malt of the ale. A cool breath of wind brushes your cheeks, carrying those scents with it in a soft, mingled drift. Footsteps move gently across the packed earth, each sound cushioned by snow. The music thins, becoming a faint thread, then a final whisper. The last notes of music fade into the snow-thick air. You leave the quiet square behind and follow the path toward the church, as everything around you grows softer and stiller. The stone church rises ahead of you, its simple shape softened by snow. In the hush of the night, it seems almost to grow out of the earth itself. Its walls pale under the drifting flakes. Candlelight glows from within, trembling through narrow windows like slow, golden breath. You pause for a moment just outside, letting the stillness settle into you, smoothing your thoughts with each gentle inhale. When you step inside, a different kind of warmth gathers around you, quiet and deep. Not like the lively hearths of the village. This warmth feels softer, more like a presence than a temperature, resting lightly on your skin. The scent of beeswax hangs in the air, thick and comforting, mingled with faint incense drifting in slow curls. You breathe it in, letting it settle low in your chest. Easing your breath into a calmer rhythm, your feet move softly across the floor, which is covered in straw. It rustles gently under each step, cushioning the sound and turning your walk into a near-silent drift. The straw is here to soften the stone, and to echo the humble bedding of a manger far away and long ago. As you walk, you feel the faint prickle of it through your shoes, a small reminder of the simplicity at the heart of this night. At the front of the church, simple wooden figures of Mary, Joseph, and the child rest in a modest nativity scene. The paint is worn at the edges, the wood darkened by years of candle smoke and many winters' touch. They sit in stillness, receiving the warm glow of nearby flames as though listening with you. A soft chant begins to rise through the space, a low, steady line of voices unfolding like slow waves. It fills the church gently, lifting and falling in patterns that feel ancient and immediate all at once. You walk farther down the aisle, each step cushioned by straw, each breath wrapped in sound. The melody moves around you without urgency, asking nothing except that you rest within it. Candles burn in uneven rows along the stone walls. Some stand tall and bright, freshly lit. Others have melted into rounded pools of wax, their flames small and wavering with the winter draft that slips through the door. All of them cast small circles of light, pushing back the long dark of winter. There are no strings of coloured lights here, no decorations humming with electricity, only flame and voice and stone. The cold outside falls away entirely now. The air here is cool but gentle, holding you with a softness that feels almost like an embrace. You sense the weight of the year in this room, work, hunger, weather, worry, resting for a while in shared song. The people around you breathe in the same slow rhythm, their voices rising and falling together, weaving something communal and steady. Simply by standing here, by listening, you become part of it. Shadows drift slowly across carved wood, over stone columns, along benches polished smooth by time. They move like a quiet, living tapestry shaped by the flicker of every flame. You take another slow breath in, letting the beeswax scent smooth the air inside your lungs, and then exhale, longer and deeper, your body loosening into the moment. The chant continues, climbing and falling with words you do not need to understand. The sound is less like singing and more like breathing made melodic, a slow tide moving through the dark. You stand within it, feeling yourself become part of the silence between the verses, part of the listening, part of the held stillness filling the church like water fills a vessel. This candlelight, straw underfoot, the steady rise of song is what Christmas means here. Not a morning of gifts, not the rush or brightness of modern celebration, but a vigil in the dark, a gathering of people who walk through the cold to stand together in one warm place, their breath lining the air with hope. You let your eyes drift half-closed, listening as the chant thins into softer notes, slowing like embers settling in a fire. The voices dip lower, softening into a hum, and then dissolving into quiet until only the faint rustle of straw and the whisper of candle flames remained. Slowly, the chanting fades into a gentle hum, then into silence. You step back through the doorway, leaving the warm stone behind and returning to the cold, open night. You step into a low, timbered hall where long tables stretch from one end to the other, set closely together as if to gather every person into a single shared breath. A broad hearth burns at one side, its flames rising in slow, confident waves that paint the rafters in deep gold. The corners of the hall remain in comfortable shadow, soft and undemanding, creating a sense of shelter that settles over you the moment you enter. Simple cloths cover the wooden boards. Pottery dishes wait in neat rows, each one shaped by the hands of someone who will sit at this very table. After weeks of careful eating, lean meals chosen with discipline, you feel the richness of this scene before you even taste anything. It's in the smell, in the colour, in the warmth that gathers around the tables like a soft embrace. Roasted root vegetables glow with gentle colour, their skins wrinkled and glistening in the firelight. Bowls of thick pottage sit beside round loaves of bread, the crust cracked and warm, letting out faint curls of steam. Dried fruits, simmered with honey until soft, send a slow, sweet fragrance across the room, a scent that rests warmly on the air like a promise kept. At the centre of the table rests a round cheese, pale and firm, cut into careful wedges so that many hands may reach it. Where meat is served, a goose browned to a deep gloss, or a joint of pork rich with its own juices, it is placed where everyone can see, not to boast but to honour how rare such plenty can be. You sense how extraordinary this night feels to those gathered here. Not extravagant, but full, generous, unhurried. As people settle into their places, quiet laughter rises from the tables. Voices murmur back and forth, sharing stories of the year just past, the harvest, the storms, the small joys and trials of daily life. The gentle clink of cups and knives threads through the sound, steady and soft. A jug of ale travels from one hand to the next, never rushed, always accepted with a nod of gratitude. The warmth of the hearth reaches even the furthest corner of the room, wrapping everyone in a shared heat. Children sit close to their parents, wrapped in shawls, their eyelids heavy but their faces bright in the firelit glow. They nibble at bread, dip fingers into honeyed fruit, lean sleepily against familiar arms. Evergreen branches lie along the centre of the tables, their needles catching sparks of light and releasing a faint resin scent each time the air shifts. It is all simple, all handmade, and quietly beautiful. Somewhere beyond this hall, in a larger house with thicker walls and finer cloth, the local lord and his household are gathering too. Their tables might hold more meat, more spice, perhaps even wine from a distant vineyard. Yet even there, beneath greater abundance, the heart of the night is the same: firelight, shared bread, and the deep, collective relief of having reached Christmas once more. The feast marks the turning of the season, the end of lean days, the opening of the 12 days that follow, days of visiting, resting, feasting, and easing the grip of winter. You breathe slowly, letting the warm aromas drift into your lungs. Roasted roots, honey-softened fruit, the sharp freshness of evergreen. The deep heat of the hearth reaches through the hall, touching your skin, easing the cold from your bones. You take another long breath, sinking deeper into the moment, letting the simplicity of it soften everything inside you. Here, Christmas is built from stored harvests, from what the land has given and what careful hands have preserved. There is no bright packaging waiting to be torn open, no decorations beyond the green branches and the golden firelight. Christmas is marked by sitting together, sharing food slowly, looking across a table into familiar faces, and feeling the year turn gently into its next chapter. As the meal goes on, voices mellow, faces soften with fullness and warmth. The bowls empty slowly, the bread thins, the platters grow light, yet no one rushes. The night expands around the hall, unbroken by clocks or obligations, held together only by flame, food, and company. For many gathered here, this is the richest meal they will know all year. It is the feast that marks the true beginning of Christmas, the first step into nights filled with visiting and rest. And beneath every flavour, every glow of fire, every shared gesture, you feel the heart of their celebration. Gratitude, endurance, warmth carried through winter by the closeness of community. The room grows quieter as plates empty and faces soften with warmth and weariness. You slip back out into the snow-soft night, leaving the glow of the hall behind you like a gentle echo. You slip into the village once more, and everything has changed with the deepening night. Snow falls more heavily now, soft, slow, unhurried flakes drifting through the air as if suspended by gentle hands. The world around you has grown hushed and still, as though the village has taken a long, quiet breath and is holding it with care. Lanterns burn low along the narrow paths, their small flames flickering behind misted glass. The light inside each one trembles in a dim, steady glow, casting faint golden halos that soften the darkness rather than push it away. You move past them slowly, and with every quiet step you feel the night deepened, settling more comfortably around your shoulders. The houses glow faintly from within, their windows cast soft squares of warmth onto the snow, each one a gentle whisper of sleep and safety. Inside, hearth fires are settling into embers, families draw close beneath blankets, and the bright energy of the feast has dissolved into the peaceful hum of rest. You walk quietly by, not wanting to disturb that calm, letting the sight of those warm windows ease your breath. Snow gathers on rooftops and fence posts, rounding every sharp edge into tender curves. Gate posts, rafters, and the tops of benches wear smooth white caps, softened into shapes that seem to sigh under their weight. Your footsteps leave shallow marks in the fresh snow, a trail of soft impressions that fill almost as soon as you create them. It feels as if the night is tucking your presence away, folding it gently into the landscape. Above you, the sky begins to clear. High, pale clouds drift apart in long, slow strands, and a few stars pierce the thinning veil. They twinkle faintly, delicate and distant, not bright enough to cast shadows, but strong enough to remind you of the deep world beyond this village. You tilt your head back to watch their quiet shimmer, feeling something inside you loosen and settle. The silence here is thick and kind, a quiet that rests its hand lightly on your shoulders. There is no hum of traffic, no electric buzz, no sweep of headlights, just wind moving lightly through the trees, just snow whispering against the ground, just the slow rhythm of your breath matching the slow rhythm of the night. You pass by the church again. Its door is closed now, its singing finished, its candles fewer than before, yet a faint light still seeps through the edges of the doorway, like a small heartbeat in the dark. Inside, the straw is cooling. The scent of beeswax and old incense drifts lazily through the cracks in the stone. Even from the outside, you can feel the stillness held within its walls. A light wind moves through the evergreens, carrying the clean, resin scent of pine over the snow. The branches sway gently, releasing faint sighs and small rustles that blend seamlessly with the night. You breathe in deeply, letting the evergreen settle into your lungs, grounding you in this cold, quiet moment. Eventually, the path leads you to the edge of the village, where houses thin and fields open into a wide dark. You pause there, letting your gaze drift outward. With no street lights, no distant city glow, the darkness stretches wide and honest around you. It is a darkness that invites rest rather than resists it, ancient, soft-edged, complete in a way modern nights rarely are. Medieval nights are deeper than any you have known, unbroken, undivided by artificial light. They belong to the sky, to the weather, to the turning of the seasons. Standing here, you feel the truth of that, not as something heavy, but as something anchoring, like a blanket settling gently over the world. Your breath slows to match the stillness, each inhale deep and cool, Each exhale a pale cloud drifting into the air. With every breath, your body softens, your thoughts grow quieter, your steps lighter. The world feels held in place, as if winter has wrapped everything in one long, peaceful moment. You stand there for a while, not needing to move or decide anything. There is no rush, no sound chasing you forward, no task pulling you back. Only you, the stars, the snow, and the slow pulse of the night. Snow begins to fall more softly now, as if the sky itself is growing sleepy. You turn toward a small cottage prepared for rest, and the village behind you blurs like a dream. You step inside a quiet cottage prepared just for you, its door closing softly behind you as though sealing the night in a warm embrace. A single low candle burns on a small wooden table, its flame steady and golden, filling the room with a soft, honey-coloured glow. Shadows stretch long and slow across the walls, rising and falling gently with each flicker of the wick. You breathe in the stillness, letting it touch something deep inside you. A wool blanket waits on a simple bed, folded neatly, soft and welcoming. You run your hand across the surface, feeling the faint scratch of the fibres, the warmth stored in the thick weave. When you settle beneath it, the blanket folds around your body with a comforting weight, gathering warmth immediately along your arms, your chest, your legs. Your muscles begin to loosen, sinking deeper into the straw-filled mattress beneath you. Outside, snow continues to fall, its presence felt rather than seen. The world beyond these walls is wrapped in a soft, muffled hush, the kind of silence only winter can weave, thick enough to cradle every sound. The wind is calm, the flakes drifting without urgency. You listen to the quiet, letting it seep into the edges of your hearing like a soft lullaby. Your breath becomes slow and even, matching the calm of the night. Each inhale cool and steady, each exhale longer, softer, sinking you further into warmth. As your body relaxes, your mind drifts gently backward through the village you've just walked. You see the narrow streets softened by snow, lanterns glowing faintly behind misted glass. You see evergreen branches hanging above doorways, vivid against the winter grey. You remember the bright hearth log crackling in the cottage, the warmth radiating outward in soft pulses. You recall the candlelit church, the straw underfoot, the slow rise and fall of chanting voices. You remember the feast, the generous platters, the laughter, the glow on children's faces, the relief of shared plenty after weeks of restraint. All of it begins to drift a little farther away now, like images seen through softening glass. You let them go slowly, one by one, not losing them but allowing them to settle into a gentler place inside your memory. You've seen how Christmas lives here, in patient Advent meals, in careful saving, in shared bread and ale, in garlands woven by hand, in songs that rise into stone and darkness, in nights that deepen into real rest. This is their Christmas, humble, handmade, shaped by winter and by faith. Not a single moment, not a single morning, but a string of quiet, connected experiences held together by light and warmth, a rhythm of waiting, worship, feasting, visiting, and finally resting. For many people in the Middle Ages, this rhythm was what it meant to keep Christmas. Not presents, not bright decorations, not hurried schedules, simply the slow unfolding of the season, always tied to the land, the weather, and the turning of the year. As you lie beneath the blanket, your breath softening further, you feel yourself returning gently to your own time. You remain entirely yourself, your own life, your own room, your own bed holding you safely. The medieval village shifts into a peaceful memory, something your imagination may return to whenever you wish, a place that lives softly in the corners of your mind. Only the calm remains now, the faint thought of wood smoke drifting through the air, the echo of distant bells, the quiet feeling of snow-slowed streets beneath your feet. Sleep rises like a tide, warm and steady, lapping gently at the edges of your thoughts. You feel yourself sinking deeper, drifting away from the waking world. The blanket encloses you fully, its warmth steady and reassuring. Candle shadows move slowly along the wall, dimming as your eyelids grow heavier. Your room holds you now, safe, familiar, wrapped in the comfort of your own time. The medieval world quietens into memory, leaving only softness behind. The candle dims slowly, its light folding in on itself. The night gathers around you, gentle and deep, as you drift into sleep.